Hello and welcome to something a little bit different. I've done one of these videos before and well, this was requested by Ross in another video. It got uploaded, it got upvoted. So here we go. 5 things I think Sports Interactive can improve on for Football Manager 2021. Number 1 is quite a biggie, and I've lumped quite a lot of stuff together under the title Match Engine. I think, you know, the match engine has come a long way since Football Manager, maybe 2010, 2011, something like that. I think 2014, if I'm right, was the first one that had a 3D match engine in it, and the amount of animations in the game have improved, and the graphics have ever so slightly improved. But when you compare Football Manager to Pro Evo and FIFA, there's a big difference in the graphics in the game. Now, I'm not saying that Football Manager should be having player profiles and sweat like you're going to get on the new FIFA game and the in-depth graphics that PES and FIFA have. But what we've come to a point where Football Manager needs to upgrade it to get new people to play the game. People play the game and are put off by the crappy 3D match engine, the blocky things, this crowd that look crap, the stadiums that don't relate to anything in real life. And I think that really needs to be improved. And I hope this is sort of like a hope wish list sort of thing, I guess, for Football Manager 2021. I've been playing Football Manager since Champ Manager 0102. I remember the dots. When the dots came in from text, it was amazing. You could, oh my god, it's taking all this data and it's putting it in dots. And then when the match engine came in, it wasn't as overwhelmingly brilliant as I think Sports Interactive mentioned. I can remember Sports Interactive saying something similar to the long lines of, you will never go back to 2D again. But they left 2D in the game in case your computer couldn't run the 3D match engine. As far as I'm aware, most people stayed on 2D. Most people saw the 3D match engine and stayed on 2D. To this day, I prefer playing on 2D because I feel like you get a better overview of the pitch. I feel like you don't have to put up with the crappy animations that we're going to get onto in a minute. And it was just better. You get to see more of the game in 2D. But I feel like if they're going to make this 3D match engine work, it's going to have to be something that involves a lot more graphics. Now, I know there's a lot of data processing that goes behind Football Manager. I know there's a lot of input, continual algorithms, equations, mathematical statistics that go behind it and making players. So there's going to be a lot of data-driven decisions made. However, Football Manager basically is simulating what FIFA and PES have in more detail. That's all it is. You can run a game on PES, you can run a game on FIFA, and simulation, you can start the game, take your controller out of it, or you can even, I think you can start a game AI v AI. What's happening is that the two AIs are computing data, and the team with the better players would win, generally, on FIFA. There'll be the odd game where the lesser team may win. They might get a lucky goal, they might get a scrappy goal. But FIFA and PES are doing that with the graphics and the visuals that they have. And they're still playing an animated, simulated, data process game. Their games get more intense when it has to track a human input of data. Now, Football Manager, I'm sure the processing that the game requires means that it's not going to be able to have those graphics, like I've said. But I think it can go places to improve it to such a degree that it would really benefit new users, old users. People would go away from 2D. People, I mean, if you had a PES from about 4 years ago, 5 years, 6 years ago, has better graphics than Football Manager does now. And that's saying quite a lot. You know, if you've got a 3D match engine, which is still looking like it's over 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, that's not very impressive. They need to improve it. And what comes with it, goalkeepers. Let's touch on goalkeepers. The goalkeeper animations are dreadful. You know in your head when you're watching it that it's data. I've got my pen because I've been writing my notes. Your data is being processed behind the scenes to show you, or to make it visible on what the AI and what the computer is deciding is the outcome. So when your goalkeeper receives, I would love to have a video of this, but I couldn't find one, unfortunately, in my Dallas save. When the goalkeeper receives a ball to feet and then just turns around, to try and stop the player getting the ball. That doesn't happen in real life. You're more likely to have it where the goalkeeper tries to clear it and it hits the player and goes in or goes behind for a goal kick, and you're like, oh my God, thank God for that. I don't think I've seen a goalkeeper try Cruyff term, Lloris, obviously famously in the World Cup final. You've seen goalkeepers make errors like that, but they don't have those animations in the game. So when something stupid happens, generally with your goalkeeper, it's annoying to see. And then you get onto the goalkeepers making saves. How many of the times do they just dive out the way? How many of the times is a shot going seemingly towards them and it goes in because they bring out these like wrists that look like they've done this in the game? Yeah, they happen in real life, but it's not as common as it seems. They need, if you're going to have a crap match engine, at least get all the animations correct in the crappy match engine. Like, I think you'd give them a bit of leeway if there was a really crappy animation in a really good 3D engine. But then I think the 3D engine, if you improve the 3D engine, it has to improve the animations. It's got to a stage where I think goalkeepers have been ridiculed this year, and especially on FM19 as well. They just got absolutely ridiculed with their animations. They are dreadful, absolutely dreadful. And, you know, touching onto that, putting it into match, goalkeeper ratings, sort it out. How hard as a goalkeeper? I think I've had a goalkeeper save a penalty and score a goal and still only get an 8.5. Or maybe an 8.6, maybe an 8.7. I don't know what a keeper has to do to get a 9. Goalkeepers are never in with a chance of winning awards. They are awful. Midfielder, get 1 assist or get 1 goal, 9.2, 9.3, 9.4. The game is so weighted against goalkeepers, and I assume that's data driven. But anyway, that's a bit of a tangent. I mean, but the match engine, there's a few things. Goalkeepers is one of the main ones, obviously. The 3D engine side of thing is another thing that I think really needs to be improved and sorted out. The animations, the general graphics, but then the things that you see in the game. How many goals have you seen in your football? Leave me a comment below. How many goals have you seen in Football Manager where a defender has made a slide tackle, it falls to the striker and goes in? 1 a game? 1 every 2 games? 2 every 3 games, sort of thing, something like that. Maybe 2 every 5. I don't know. Some of you might have been lucky. It happens far too often. How often do you see in real life a defender is tracking back, makes a slide tackle which makes the ball go across their goal to the other striker who puts it in? Don't understand it. I just don't understand how that can still be in the game in Football Manager 20, and it better not be in the game as consistently as it is now in Football Manager 2021. That has to be an improvement. So, because I don't want this video to be ages and I could rant about quite a lot of things, number 1, match engine has to be improved, and I think it's got to a point where a lot of people are going to be expecting it to be improved. Maybe COVID and the pandemic and everything like that has impacted their ability to improve it. But if there aren't improvements, it's going to be a bad time for Sports Interactive. And especially, I think FM 2022, you're going to want to see really big improvements. Next generation stuff's coming out. You know, next generation's processors on PC, next generation PlayStation, Xbox. They're just going to lose their core. Maybe they won't lose their core players, but they won't gain many new players if it doesn't keep up to speed with the other games. That's the only thing. Number 2, and it's something I touched on in the FC Dallas video, if you've seen that. Make analysis worth it. It really doesn't seem that all the analysis tools they give you, all the data you can pull out from it, and I'm someone that started this game very data-driven, as my dog has a little bark, sorry about that. Very data-driven, very looking at what the computer's trying to show me, what are opposition teams doing against me, what can I do to counter it, what can I do to counter them, what changes are they making, how can I do it? And you get all that data, and I would say 1 in 15 chances, when you make a change with data you've been given, it works. I have a prime example of this on the FC Dallas save, where I've looked at analysis live on video, and they were playing a high line, so I said, well, we can counter them and go over the top. That's simple football. That is classic football. That's classic counter-attacking football. Try and soak up the pressure, get the ball, play it over the top, score a goal. It worked. We won 1-0 or 2-1. I've tried that in other games. I've tried looking at analysis in other games. I've tried looking at set pieces. I've tracked when set pieces have taken by the AI and where they go. I was playing a game where offline on the FC Dallas save, I think I was playing Portland, and they had 4 corners. Every single corner went to the back post. Their man at the back post didn't change. It didn't change, so I just got my guy. I sent my centre-back, my best centre-back, man-marked tall player, knowing he was the tallest on their team. He then marked him, and the AI immediately put a corner at the front post and scored. Now, there's no way the AI know I've made that change. In real life, there's no way that manager knows you've made that change until the corner has lined up and you see that defender's marking someone else, right? And that I've used the analysis at my disposal to know that I need to then man mark someone at the back post. Yeah, there's changes. That other defender, he wasn't on the near post. That other tall defender was marking someone in the box, maybe a striker near the goalkeeper. He wasn't affecting any other corner that before the game had gone to the near post. He wouldn't have had any impact in it at all. I've moved him from that position to the guy at the back post, and they've scored with a near post corner without. And you're telling me the AI's learned that without the game actually happening? It's just things like that are a bit annoying. I've used the analysis that's at my disposal to make a change, but the AI has already exploited it before something else in the game has had a chance to visualize their ability to try and exploit it. So irritating. So I think with the amount of data you get from Football Manager, whether it be heat maps, positional maps, key passing lanes, everything like that, I think they need to improve it slightly so that when you adapt something towards it, it does make a visual difference. It does make a big difference. If you go and press someone, yeah, you can see a difference sometimes in the amount of passes they made from one half to another, or that 10 minutes instead of 10 minutes when you're pressing them more. And then the computer might adapt something and you've got to adapt something to that. The problem they've got at the moment, and I'll touch on this later, is... Well, no, I'll touch on it now because I can combine it with analysis. They have to make all tactics fair to a degree. Gegenpress, we all know, massively overpowered in FM20. Yeah, it's done well for Liverpool in real life, but you're telling me that after a season, people won't know how to counter it? People won't know how to play against Liverpool next season a little bit better. They won't be this all-conquering team. Well, they weren't all-conquering. They didn't win Champions League. They didn't go unbeaten in the league. But it's the same with Pep Guardiola, tiki-taka. People started to defend deep, defend narrow, and they stopped the amount of chances being created. You need to have that ability in Football Manager without suddenly thinking, okay, we're 1-0 up. We're going to sit narrow. We're going to sit a little bit deeper. And we're going to keep it tight. And we're going to go to a defensive mentality. I don't change mentality. If I do, I go attacking to positive. I never go below positive unless I'm a really small team playing in a massive opponent in a cup competition or something. Then I'll go cautious. But all I've found with dropping to defensive means you concede. All I've found with dropping a low defensive line means you concede. All I've found with not pressing high in engagement means you concede. There are tweaks you can do with how your goalkeeper distributes the ball, how extremely urgent your press is, or whether it's just urgent, or if it's extremely urgent, or if you drop off, or if you prevent short goalkeeper distribution. Those little tweaks do seem to make a difference. I honestly think everything else is rubbish. In terms of a countering the opposition. Setting up your own tactic, I think, is great. There's a few little improvements, which will be actually number 3, that we'll get onto in a minute, that I think will be useful. But you need to be able to want to make a decision without it always backfiring, or 95% of the time backfiring, which is what it seems like in Football Manager 20. And yeah, there's a lot of data, there's a lot of differences, there's a lot of variables, there's a lot of changes that could happen. But when I have a season where if I'm winning or I'm losing, I don't change my mentality, that shouldn't be the game. With 20 minutes to go, I should be able to drop a little bit deeper, and I should be able to do a little bit more defensive, and I should be able to maybe try and play them on the counter-attack. The amount of times in the Focus and Invicta save, for those that watched it, in the early days, I'd get the lead, and then with about 15 minutes to go, I would try and defend and play counter-attacking football, and the AI would score. And it would finish 1-1. Or I'd have to revert back to my initial tactic and would win 2-1 because I was using the high press and I was using the extremely urgent pressing and I was playing offside trap and had a high line of defence. So I just feel like the tactics, the analysis, the data that you're getting, if the game is to be played properly, it needs to work. And the problem with this is that gegenpressing was too powerful. Gegenpressing was too powerful. Anything you could do from a defensive standpoint with a high line, a high press, you stand a much higher percentage chance of winning than if you didn't use those tactics. And that was infuriating. Number 3, I touched on this in the previous improvement that I'd like to see. And it's tweak the tactical instructions as in what they say on the screen. Like overlap left and right. It doesn't technically mean overlap left and right. It means, and Zealand touched on this, look for the overlap left and right. Encourage the ball to go to the overlap left and right. Underlap left and right. Encourage the ball to go to those players that are underlapping left and right. It doesn't mean do it. You can tell your players to do it just in their player instructions. You can say, wingback, complete wingback is going to bomb on more. He is already a wingback. He is already going to go and overlap. Look for overlap means that your players will slow the pace down and try and get that player the ball. Sometimes that's not what you want. Sometimes you just want him to be up there as a distraction and then play the ball through the middle. And I think a lot of that is lost on players where they're understanding what these tactical instructions mean. Because if you just clicked on it and didn't hover your mouse over it and get the description, I would think overlap left meant your defender is just going to overlap. Not that you're going to necessarily look for him, you're just going to push him up the pitch. That's what I would think it meant. But if you read the instructions, look for overlap left, actually says make your players look for that person and give him the ball when he's overlapping, which isn't necessarily what you always want. And there are a few more like that where they can suggest and maybe make the initial button to press or the interaction that you have, make it obvious to what it's doing. And that goes for tactical shouts as well in on the sideline. Get creative. Well, what does that mean? What's it doing? It doesn't explain to you what it's doing. Show some passion. Well, what is that good for? How is that going to work? How is that going to help my team? I mean, get forward is, that's obvious. Stay calm if your people are looking aggressive. And then I guess moving a little tangent, tactical instructions make it so that more than 3 of them work. Praise, demand more, get creative. They're the only 3 you need. They are the only 3 you need. If you're 2-0 up, praise. If you're losing, demand more. If you're 1-0 up, get creative. If you're drawing, get creative. That's all, and that'll get you green across the board. It's just, things like that I think need to be looked at, improved, and made better for FM 2021. Number 4. Regen Faces. God, they're ugly this year. Oh my God, they're a backstep. There was a great graphic. Hopefully I can find it and I'll put it on the video now of what Regen Faces look like in FM15 and now what they look like. They have got so much worse and I don't understand how that's possible. I do not understand how that's possible. When you look at the things that Chilled Moose has done and Laura known as Chilled Moose, has done with her pack, so you just input it into the game, into your game file. I haven't got it, but there are people that have it. You put it into the game file and it generates a random face and assigns it to that player. That's incredible. And her work is incredible. Absolutely incredible. If you haven't checked it, go check her out. Her work is just unreal. It's absolutely incredible. But even taking that out, because that's another bit of data, that's another bit of processing, it's another bit of important aspect that your processor, when you load the game and keep player history and stuff like that, would have to keep all those images. It's going to clog the game up. But if you take that out, even the fact that the Regen Faces have just got worse over time is ridiculous. At least keep them the same. At least keep them. Who has signed that off and gone, that looks like a person? That definitely looks like... I mean, I know 16-year-olds who come through a youth system who have a full-on beard and a bald. I mean... It's just bizarre. It's just absolutely bizarre. So, improvement number 4, improve Regen Faces, please. Improvement number 5, and I'm pretty sure it's on every single improvement list every single year, along with probably the match engine, but transfers with the AI. Oh my God, it's so infuriating. I have a player. He is transfer listed. I don't want him. The AI come in, and let's say he's worth £1 million. The AI come in, I'll give you £300,000. No, not even that. It would be like, I'll give you £100,000 and I'll give you 20,000 when he's played 50 games. I'll give you 80,000 when he's scored 50 goals, and I'll give you another 100,000 when we qualify for the FA Cup 6th round, let's say. Total value 300 grand. He's worth $1 million. I've transfer listed him for 700. Try and negotiate. Just give me 500 cash. No, we're leaving. No, that's unreasonable. We're withdrawing our bid. Fine. You then go to the AI who have a transfer listed player. He's transfer listed, a £1 million player, and he's transfer listed for 900k. And you go to them and say, I will give you 500k for this player. No, I'll give you 550. No, I'll give you 600. No, I'll give you 700. No, we want 900. I'll give you 750 and then 100,000 after the. No, it doesn't work like that. If a player is transfer listed, yes, they want to get a certain price. However, the chance of them getting that price from anybody is so slim, they need to be better at negotiating. They can't just say no. And if they do just say no, they need to say no to everybody, not just the human player. That's happened in all of our games, I'm sure. When you've bid for someone, it gets rejected. Another AI club bids for them, it gets accepted. It's so infuriating. You bid for someone and then it, or you, even worse is when you bid for someone, it gets rejected and the AI offers less, but they put bonuses in there. But the total value is less, but they accept it. Oh, it's infuriating. So transfers involving the AI in terms of negotiate. I think transfers as in where players move this year, I think has been much more realistic. I think it's been much better. I think it's been much more realistic to life. I think that's been great. However, when you're negotiating with the AI, especially when they've got players that they don't want, they are so stubborn. It is ridiculous. And I can't imagine that would happen. In terms of realism of who moves where, I'm happy. That can continue into Football Manager 2021. In terms of, maybe not Mbappe to Chelsea. That's maybe not. But in terms of negotiating with the transfers with the AI when it's a transfer listed player or someone that you know they clearly don't want, oh, it's got to improve for FM21. It has to. And then because you're a lucky viewership that we have on the Culture Left YouTube, I think my face is going very bright because of the screen. Number 6 is a bonus. It was going to be 5 improvements for FM21, but I've whacked a 6th in there. And now this is a contentious one. Social media was added to the game. Social media is huge in football. Players are on it. Managers are on it. Clubs are on it. Supporters are on it. Fan clubs are on it. And a lot of opinions are flying around. Social media needs to be more in depth in the game. When it was added, I think people were like, "This is a good. This could be good. This could be good." You know, you can read tweets. You can't do anything with those tweets, but you can read them. Now, I'm not saying we should be able to tweet ourselves. I think that's asking for trouble to say that you could tweet things, because technically you could tweet at a real life player, but be it in the game, and there could be naughty comments and things like that. And I think, I'm not saying as the manager I want to be able to tweet in the game. I don't think that's right. However, players should be able to tweet or reply or like certain tweets when it's something's aimed at them or at the club, or the club should be able to do a big fanfare because of a transfer. It's all a bit crap at the moment, social media. I mean, you have players' mentality already in the game. You have their personality. You have their personality already in the game. Build that into the social media. Build it into it. If they are a model professional, they might not use social media, or they might use social media just to post things about, you know, their life in the summer when they're in the summer off, or well wishes for another injured player, or something like that. If they're a model professional, if they are volatile, if they have a volatile personality, they may respond to a very harsh bit of criticism by a pundit, or by a fan, or by another club. Or when they're rumoured to be linked to someone, they might come out and be like, "I'm not linked here, I'm not moving there, I'm happy, I'm seeing out my contract. Yeah, they've transfer listed me, but I'm not going anywhere." Right? And that, I'm talking volatile. That's why I use that word. You get that personality in Football Manager 20, and I want to see the social media. If they're going to keep the social media side of it in, let's see the players reacting to the social media. Let's see more involvement about it, rather than people slagging you off when you draw 1-1 with Man United when you're focusing a victor. Oh, well, that was disappointing, wasn't it? I'll try and get a screenshot on the screen now of like things that are in the social media page that just don't make sense. That it's just underutilized, and it was a first step. It was first introduced. It was quite exciting for a lot of people when it was first introduced, but I think now that we've had it for a long time and it has no interaction on what's going on, no say and no change to the game, what's the point? Make it worthwhile. Make it be poignant in Football Manager 21. But anyway, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much, June. Let me know down below what are your 5 improvements that you want to see in FM21. Let me know what you think of my improvements. Is there anything I've missed? Is there anything glaring that you think, wow, how did Dave not realise? How did Dave, after playing this for over 1,000 hours, not realise that this is missing from FM20 and needs to be included in FM21? But, you know, they've got a core gameship. I will be buying Football Manager 21. I'll be playing Football Manager 21, and I'll definitely be getting my money's worth from it. But I do think it's getting to a point where they need to make big improvements. And hopefully a number of those big improvements will come in FM21. With FM22, as long as the pandemic calms down and people can go back to work and they can work as a team in an office with their processing equipment, understanding what needs to be done, I hope that in FM22 that can happen. Now, a little disclaimer. I don't imagine anyone from Sports Interactive is watching this video, but apologies that it's come across like this. I didn't reach out personally and I haven't commented on the forums. A lot of these things I'm recommending will be on there anyway. A lot of these people will be on the wish. A lot of these things will be on the wish list from your regular players, and it's a great game. It is a fantastic game, Football Manager. There's no real competition, and I don't think that's because it's a monopoly on the franchise, on the sort of a franchise of the gaming industry for football management. I just think it's because the game is so bloody good. Everybody knows it's going to be really hard to compete with it. So thank you. This is sort of now, I'm ending with a thank you to Sports Interactive for creating such a good game. And the improvements that myself and other content creators are suggesting are just what we want to just tip it over the edge and make it better. And we want a better game every year, and that's all we're trying to say. But thank you so much for a fantastic game, and thank you guys for watching and putting up with my nonsensical speak and my tangents. And this year on FM20 has been incredible. The channel has grown so much, and that is a lot down to FM20. We're going to be back next year revisiting an old flame of a club, and I cannot wait. But for now, go and check out the FC Dallas save. Go and watch the back catalogue for the folks in the Victor save. Come and check out the Bury save on FIFA. Lots of content out there for you to check out. But for now, I'm out. Cheers.